UFO sighting. It was late one evening, just when the night sky started to reveal the stars. As a white object moving quickly across the night skies, followed by what appeared to be 2 fighter jets. This impact of the moment, though seemed inconsequential at the time, remained seared into my mind. Silence was the rule. Since I grew up in the neighborhood, even the bully wouldn't have told that story. In fact, I would have been teased, called names, labeled as cuckoo. So as a young kid, it stayed my secret. But never forgotten. I didn't really appreciate the significance of the moment, but as the months and years rolled by, I realized the truth of that day. We are not alone. So I became a certified UFO investigator, and my new journey began. Working on files, performing photos and video analysis, interviewing countless of witnesses, charts, even commercial flights. And today, I found myself again seeking the answers. I will no longer just investigate UFOs. Today, the problem is much more significant than that, and therefore, the quest is greater still. I will hunt down the truth, challenge the government, even get into dangerous places. Most importantly, face public ridicule. So this club was formed to share those discoveries, even gain emotional support. Join me as I go down a dark path, seeking the answers for all of us. And I want to welcome you to the boldest, baffling, belligerent clubhouse in the world, creating captivating conversations that'll certainly cause controversy, and we will do that here. Welcome to Extraterrestrial Evidence, where we have a motto, and that motto is, it's simply time to believe. Join me today to seek the truth. Extraterrestrial Evidence. All right, I want to welcome each and every one of you to Extraterrestrial Evidence. Once again, you could have been in any other clubhouse room, but you chose to be here with us tonight. I encourage you to go ahead and ping some people into the room tonight, because tonight is going to be one of those conversations that you will not forget and you don't want to forget. And so we're going to be having a great topic today when we talk about the RNA negative blood type people, and could they be extraterrestrials? There's a lot of things about that out there, and there's a lot of history. So we're going to cover both sides of the fence. We're going to cover the scientific side, and then we're going to also cover what I consider the side of the fence that will be in our landscape, or where we are as we seeking the truth. But as always, it's all about how we move this ship through the space of where we're going, and that navigator is Tiffany, as you see her there. She will also set things in motion in the right direction, because I do get off sometimes, and I definitely do that. But in the meantime, we got a couple of people up here with us today. Bridget and Faye, they're going to be contributing to. We got a couple of other people that's going to be coming up talking about their experience. We even got some people out there that is RH negative and have a story to tell based on a couple of things that we're doing. So I am really excited about that, and I want you guys to do that from there. So, but here's the deal. I'm excited. It's been a whole freaking week since we've been here, and we was here the other day. We did our 20,000 celebration, and that was pretty interesting too. So, but once again, guys, let's get ready to hit this thing off, and we're going to get into what's in the news out there, and so you definitely want to know that, and then we're going to get into our stories as well as we pop this off. So, in the meantime, if you have not been paying attention, there's been a lot of stuff in the news. And one in particular is going to be the Showtime. We'll cover that in just a little bit. They released their new segment. It's called UFO. And it's why? Because it's that time right now that there's a lot of UFO subjects going on. So I'm saying to people right now, we are probably in one of the best times in ufology, even past when the people back in the 40s saw the Roswell crash and all of these things. Today, I think we're in the right place. And so for all of us who is part of this segments and part of what's going on today, we should be not only honored, but at the same time curious enough to seek the freaking truth when it comes down to a lot of these things. So that's expected, right? So in the news today, we're talking about J.J. Abrams and his mission to expose the truth about UFOs. Now, I watched that first segment on Showtime, not because it was free, but that could have been a possibility, right? But not because it was free. Even though I got Showtime, I did watch the thing. And there were some interesting points there, and we'll get into that in the first segment here. But I'm thinking, now that Showtime, we have all Netflix, we have all of these different shows that are now coming out talking about UFOs. Even myself is now in filming. I'll be in Las Vegas in a few weeks. I'll be going down to LA, filming a UFO show. So that was one of the things that I think is just really important there So another part of this is that I think is pretty cool is that the Top Secret UFO Projects Declassified. Now that's on Netflix, okay? You definitely want to get out there and check that out because they got like 6 episodes, and that stuff is pretty cool. So once again, we got a lot of plethora of stuff for UFOs in the news. It's out there in articles and everything else, but one of the news articles that stuck out the most, which I'll go ahead and conclude here as we move on, is something that they talked about, the scientists and the problems that the scientists are having today investigating UFOs. And they call it the Invisible College of Scientists. And the reason why they call it the Invisible College is because they don't want to stake their career on the line talking about this subject matter. It's just plain and simple. Although it's now becoming mainstream media, and they should, but most of them are saying, no, I'm not. I'm going to study it, but I'm going to talk about it. But they're also saying there's a challenge in this. And one of the 5 top challenges that they're having in these UFO segment is that the UFO and UAP incidents are non-repeatable. So scientists need to be able, they can't go back and forth to perform an experience, to kind of extract the observation again. Okay, this is what happened. It went over here and it took this. And that's one of the challenges. The other part is not systematic. These incidents are, how they're recorded. There's different camera systems, radar systems, data processing systems, observers and environmental circumstances. And they all create this problem that's uncontrolled experience for the scientists. And so they cannot really say we're going to be able to put a scientific knowledge on this phenomenon. And another part is there's no easy way for them to account for it. It's been like what they call cherry picking, and they don't know how often these pilots see things. And so I think, it's bull, but at the same time, I get it. They got to have that system in order to do this. And so we want to kind of look at that. And then the last part about this is that the hypothesis that they're having alien technologies create the bias, right? Because what's happening with most people like Carl Sagan, who says extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You guys remember that? And so having said that, the scientists believe, well, you know what? Everybody already got it. They got the answer. They think it's UFOs. They think it's extraterrestrial. What the heck we need to be looking into it for? So one of those things is those things. So with that being said, if you're here for the first time, follow the speakers up here, follow the club, because way this algorithm is working, you want to get notified because there's so many notifications going out, and it just may desensitize you on the message. So give myself a follow, Tiffany, Bridget, any of us up here, but definitely hit that green house up there and follow the club. If you want to get notices, you can go text Roderick.com and get on our text list. That's the easiest way now to get on that, and you'll be able to do that. If you want more information about what's going on with extraterrestrial evidence, go to RoderickMartin.com. So let's get down into it. So Tiffany, how has been your week today? And so we'll start out with you. And I know you've been in school, you've been doing a lot of things. So just kind of give us a quick update of what's been going on with you.
My week's been great. I'm just really looking forward to hearing our speakers tonight and getting to the bottom of this Rh negative blood type thing.
All right. Have you heard anything about that, or what are your thoughts about that?
I have, and as usual, Roderick, I take no definitive stance. I'm sitting in the middle, waiting to hear what people have to say, waiting to be educated.
That's fine. We got Bridget, we got Faye. So Faye, I'll start with you. What have you heard more about this Rh negative?
Well, first of all, hi. Thanks for having me up here. I've heard that, I don't know. You know what? Let's just say what I believe. I like to believe that these people are special. Okay. Are they part extraterrestrial? I don't know, but I don't know. I just know a few people who are, and it seems to be extremely rare. I wouldn't say extremely, but very, very rare to have Rh negative blood. So I'm looking forward to hearing some stories and having a little dialogue around it. Thanks.
All right. So what about you there, Bridget?
I think it's very interesting. I haven't received any information on it from my team, but I think it's very interesting. And I'm like Faye. I want to hear what everybody else is thinking. I would love to get this conversation uh, started and hear what everybody has to say about this. I feel like it's going to be a good one.
Oh, no problem. And you got a little static in that mic. That'll give it a little time. We can get you work before we bring you back up in a minute. Okay, so anyway, if you're in the audience tonight and you got any input, or if you have checked out what's going on with this phenomenon, the Rh negative blood type people, and we'll cover that in just a second. But I think what I want to do, have any of you up here watched the Showtime segment that came out, UFO, that just showed up?
I have not.
Wow. Okay, you guys got to be coming on, with this. What about you, Bridget, Faye? Y'all watch Showtime? Y'all watch Showtime, right?
No, I don't have Showtime.
I don't have that service.
But I haven't watched it yet, and I will.
All right. So what I'm looking for today is some supporting cast. If you in that audience right now, if you watch that Showtime, put your hands up, come on up, and let's talk to Showtime about this with these ladies here and let them know what's going on. So it looked like we got a few people with their hands up. So let's see if they're going to be talking about this Showtime too. All right, Susan, Justin, you guys watch the Showtime?
Yep.
All right, Justin. Oh, we got experience. I'm sure he watched it, but Justin, go ahead. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts. We'll get into it for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then we're going to hit this RNA negative blood. Go ahead.
First of all, it was done by Michael Bay, and he did a really good job just going over the basic things. I'm trying to think of what exactly stood out for me, but I thought it was really, really, really well done, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it had some unique approach, especially just the overall. And I only watched the first episode. I was going to end it because it was free, but not because I didn't have Showtime. But it could have been, but it was free. For all of you in the stage or down there today, it's free, the first episode. You don't even need Showtime. Just go ahead and do it. And then I know Experience have it in his Discord. I heard that the other day while I was in there. I saw it. He had a little link there. So you can go check that out as well. Susan, go ahead.
Hi. Okay, so yes, I only watched the first episode also because it was free. Well, honestly, I wanted to see if it was going to be worth me investing in. It's not just the free month, but for me and us older people, we have to remember to cancel after 30 days, and that could be an issue.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I watched the first issue, and I thought it was a very good summary of the lights over Arizona, which I had already watched quite a few shows on that. So I thought it was a very good summation. And then I was going to go on I searched around today and I was going to go on to episode 2. And then I realized that I had not watched the whole Skinwalker Ranch. And so I've started Skinwalker Ranch on Hulu and I'm into episode 2 and I'm freaked out. And I am Susan and I am complete.
All right. I get it. Experience. What's going on with you?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Peace. Yeah, I had a room about this yesterday because I was trying to find some people as well that watched all 4 episodes. I have Showtime, so I watched all 4. If anybody wants to watch them, just find the Extra Paranormal Society Club on Instagram, and there's a link to the Discord. On the Discord, if you click on documentaries, I have a link to all 4 episodes, so you guys could check those out. Overall, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I think it was produced very well, shot well, the dramatic part of it. The first episode, introduces Leslie Keene, who's, a figure in ufology, and talks about the Phoenix Lights. But they touch pretty much the whole smorgasbord of everything that's in talks right now with the subject. They touch on Skinwalker Ranch. They touch on the Nimitz encounter. They touch on Project Blue Book. They touch on a bunch of different things. Lou Elizondo and the ATIP program. It's just some of the narratives I feel like that it was pushing towards the end. I wasn't really feeling because it was kind of confusing. They throw in a bunch of shade towards Lou Elizondo's way, shade towards Leslie Keene's way. Like there's some hidden agenda, or this is all just government faux pas for trying to hide top secret programs, and this is all man-made stuff. Stuff that I don't necessarily agree with. Stuff I know there's substantial evidence against that, but they didn't have any rebuttals. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, when they kind of paint Lou in a certain picture, he doesn't really he doesn't have any words defending himself back. And I pay attention. I'm a movie buff, so I pay attention to a lot of the cut scenes and how they kind of edit certain things to look a certain way, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But overall, like Susan said, I kind of like the rehashing of the Phoenix Lights because that's something I kind of had already like stowed away, but kind of revisiting it now, it's kind of more intriguing about that whole incident. We get more information on the Nimitz encounter, which is interesting as well, from the radar operators on the Princeton. But overall, I like I do with most documentaries. You know, I pick what I like out of it, and I kind of linger on those things, kind of like a buffet, right? You know, touch everything in the buffet. You just kind of pick what you like. You know what I'm saying? So some of the other stuff that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I just kind of let go by the wayside. But overall, it was a well-produced show. There's only 4 parts to it. If you're really into the subject, I suggest watching it and, you know, make a decision for yourself on how you feel.
Yeah, I agree with you on some parts. And like I said, well, I watched the first episode, and one of the things that stuck out to most is that, you know, they did try to go into how there was just so much stuff about UFOs and how some of these events was just undisputable, but they still found a way to, you know, cover them up or tell people they're not. And even though when you had countless and countless of people that saw, especially when they referenced the Phoenix Lights incidents, and, you know, they was going in that a lot. And I thought about it because I researched that a lot too, and I actually met a friend of mine, and he told me that he was there and he saw him, and he was just talking about how his wife approached it and everything else. And so right to this day, you got all of these people that are seeing these things, even today, but we still trying to either label people into the field of UFOs crazy, or at some point they just don't have it all there. And I think, when does the vindication begins that people say, okay, wait a minute, let's just, although we do have some areas taking it seriously, but where does it begin where people will begin to take it serious, period, right? So I don't know. And maybe we'll get to that point, but with all these shows coming out, there should be some kind of movement toward what's happening in ufology. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that's why I feel like it got confusing, because at first they're kind of really getting into detail, some of these facts, but then they kind of paint these pictures of, you know, possibly mass hysteria or government psyops kind of stuff, which has always been insinuated, but there's no way you could prove it, right? And we don't have any data that's saying that this was a government psyop that's just getting the public, you know, riled up about UFOs so they can covertly work on, you know, high technology. That narrative has always been around, but for this to kind of touch on that, I feel like almost irresponsibly kind of, you know, soured me a little bit to parts of the doc. So.
Yeah. I think so. Now, Paul, are you up? Did you see it? Or, because we're going to move on in a minute. Anyone else up on stage see the episode there?
I haven't seen it, but I gotta say, I saw the title of your room and was completely hooked.
Well,
I remember.
We're going to get down in a minute. Go ahead.
Oh, I just remember in high school biology, we did a blood test in one of our laboratory things in our room. And I remember the people with Rh negative had the highest test scores that always affected the grading curve. So I'm just a little bit curious about what gifted and talented means to a high school biology teacher that was like, maybe evolution, maybe something more.
Well, you know, it is a rumor that the people, you know, they don't get sick. There's a lot of, just a lot of upsides to being Rh negative. So we'll cover that in tonight. So if you guys are here, you want to stick around for the entire show, because you're going to learn a lot tonight, and you're going to walk away with that old Arsenio Hall Things to make you go, And so with that being said, Sammy, how's it going? You want to talk about the show, or we're going to get on you and Katrina? Y'all got it. We're going to talk about the show, or we're going to move on to the RH?
Hello there, Roderick. Hello there, everybody. Thank you for getting me the chance to talk a little bit in this room. I'm very excited to be here among you gorgeous people. Actually, I was interested in this discussion. First of all, Justin just pinged me the other time. So thank you, Justin, for that. And I just wanted to say that I'm an AB positive blood type, and I just recently found out that it's not a very common blood type. Actually, around the place, you may find very few people with blood type AB, and aside from that, I'm very much evidence-based. I've been following ufology issues for more than 10 years now, and mostly, actually, my judgments are based on the reports from, let's say, distinguished, educated journalists.
All right. Well, hold that thought for a minute.
Good.
Yeah, hold that thought there. Katrina, is it Karina, or how do we pronounce that? Let me make sure I ain't just got my knives out and butchering up your name. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say that one of the best books I ever read was Edgar Cayce on Atlantis.
Okay.
I forget who the author was, right? But in that book, Edgar Cayce said that the survivors of Atlantis had spread out to different regions on the globe, the ones that survived. And one of the regions was the Pyrenees, which is the Basque region, where Spain and France border each other. And it's really interesting because the Basque people, the way the cliffs are there, they've been able to retain their language, which is unrelated to any other language. It's known as a language isolate. And they're all primarily Rh negative blood people. And if they try to have more than one baby, they have a huge problem. Like your body will just attack you if you try to have more than one baby. To me, that seems like built-in birth control, right? I mean, it's pretty genius.
Hold that thought. Just stay up here on stage. We have a section about that. And so just get your information together. I'm going to bring you in on that one in just a minute as well. So what we're going to do, let's hop into that particular section. And basically, guys, the stories out there is this. I'm going to set this up for you to hear a little bit, some clippings, some different people's opinion about this topic. It's going to be great. It's going to be an epic conversation. So again, go ahead and ping some people in this room, and we'll do that as well. If you're new, make sure you follow the speakers. Make sure you follow the club. Hit that updates, because again, we got a lot more shows and stuff coming up for you in the future that we will be doing it. So let's kind of start this thing out with this Rh negative blood type. Now, for starters, as she was just saying there, everyone has all blood types has a underlying genetic of the Rh. Either it's positive or either it's negative. So we all got it. Okay, it's just that 85% of the human population is Rh positive. Okay, and so for those of you that other 15%, it is the thing that the conversation is about. Okay, and then another part of this is that our genetics in this 85% can be traced back to apes and Homo sapiens, that type of DNA. But once you get down into what is happening when it comes down to the Rh negative, we don't know. We have no clue to where that's coming from. We don't know genetically how where it begun or anything, and so that's where to begin the part to be what we consider extraterrestrial. Now, what I'm going to set up for us before we get started is to kind of give you what the scientific community says about it, because they're not going to go that route. In fact, I thought it was really profound when I was doing this research for this show, is that one of the things that they was talking about is how the Rh negative actually is a disease. And I'm like, really? And so I'm going to play a clip for you guys so that it's a couple of minutes, but it's going to set up our whole room tonight. And then we're going to come back with the other side of the phenomenal, what's going on. Even got people on stage, y'all, that actually is Rh negative. Okay, we do. And so you're going to hear some stories, and we're going to bring some truth in some of this. And so again, this is some exciting things, and I'm just really just off the charts on what we are. So let me set this up, and what you're about to hear is a couple of minutes, and they're going to explain to you this phenomenon, but they're going to call it a disease and how it's a disease. And so we're going to go into that. So let me again play this for you. Let's go into it right now.
The story of Rh disease begins with blood. Everyone on Earth can be divided into one of four major blood groups. But there's another category that differentiates us, Rh. Most people have a protein on their red blood cells called the rhesus factor. These people are Rh positive. But a small percentage of the global population is missing this protein, making them Rh negative. These two blood groups are incompatible. That means that if they mix, deadly reactions can occur. That's why it's dangerous when an Rh negative woman becomes pregnant with an Rh positive baby. If the baby's red blood cells get into the mother's bloodstream, her immune system will consider them foreign invaders and create antibodies to destroy them. These antibodies can also cross the placenta and attack the fetus, with terrible consequences like permanent brain damage and even death. This immune reaction begins during a mother's first pregnancy, but is only completed after the baby is born. That's why first babies are typically spared from Rh disease. They're already born by the time the mother's immune system has time to react. But an immune system never forgets, leaving all future Rh positive babies at risk of getting Rh disease. Rh disease was once a major killer, but in the 1960s, scientists discovered a cure by essentially hacking the immune system. With the help of human donors, they obtained the same antibodies that were hurting babies and turned them into a life-saving injection that helps prevent the disease. This injection is given to women before and after delivery, providing an antibody dose that is too small to hurt the baby, but potent enough to prevent the mother's immune system from reacting. It's as though these antibodies help mask the fetus's red blood cells, making them invisible to the mother's immune system. Today, Rh disease is virtually eradicated in wealthy nations like Canada, where the injection has become routine for at-risk pregnancies. But this cure only works if women can access the injection through an adequate healthcare system. In much of the world, this is still out of reach for many women, making the death and devastation of Rh disease a modern reality.
All right, so you all heard that, okay? And my stance is with this. Let's go with, this is the technical term that's out here. You can look this up, it's in media. It's a disease, and this is the explanation. So before we get any further, and I know we have someone here on stage is Rh negative and have a kid and actually went through some of the process of things, and we'll bring that up in a minute. But before I go any further, give me you guys intake one at a time on hearing this is a disease before we go into the genetics, right, of what's going on with this.
I sorry to jump in. I think you're misunderstanding. They're not calling having an Rh negative blood type a disease. They're calling what happens to the baby Rh disease.
Okay, I mean, I get that. Well, I think I heard disease, all right, I can play it back again for it. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree with what she said.
Yeah, well, I understand if you're saying the child itself, is that correct?
Yeah, that's what they're saying, the child.
Sorry, you can talk, Britt.
You can talk.
Okay, yeah. So having an Rh negative blood type, they're not calling it a disease, but when a mother becomes, the word is called isoimmunized against an Rh positive blood type, which can happen 50% of the time, whether the baby is going to be positive or negative. If the mother has a positive blood type baby, her blood mixes with the baby's blood, she becomes isoimmunized, then any future Rh positive babies will then get what is called Rh disease.
Okay, I understand that. Let's pause right there. I understand the outcome of the co-creating of, the baby, breeding of, we got kids in the audience, all that good stuff. I understand that part, but my whole thing that perplexes me is we talking about genetics. We're talking about, passing down genetics, and we got a lot of genetic flaws in humans, period. But we're not calling them diseases, though, right?
No, they're not. That's what I'm saying. The man in the audio clip did not call it a disease. He called what happens to the baby a disease. No one said
the reaction. The reaction, not the condition. The reaction, kind of thing.
All right. I'm good with that. All right, we got some other folks out here that's RH, and we're gonna see if we can bring them up in a minute. And I'm getting hit on the Stargate, or what we going to call this thing? The wormhole or the Stargate? Which one we got, y'all?
Either way.
All right.
Stargate.
Definitely Stargate.
All right. Stargate.
Definitely Stargate.
All right. So we have a back channel on the Stargate, and I'm going to see if she wants to be brought up. I'm just going to use the word want in, and hopefully she knows what I'm saying when she reads it. Or want it in, I misspelled it. But either way, if you do, hit the join the speaker button, and we're going to bring you up on stage. So,
or if she can hit me up, I can invite her up.
There you go. Hit Tiffany up. She got that. She will take care of that. All right. So I misunderstood. I stand corrected. Okay. I heard it wrong. Even when I was studying, I just was like blown away. Anyone else want to contribute it, or did you get a different interpretation, or, the women are correct, but at the same time, I just had a different thought. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think I did too. I hear what you're saying, Paige. I'm not sure what your background is, if you have a medical background. But I'm just more interested in why is it called a disease opposed to just like a condition.
That's my point.
Yeah, like why is it called a disease? I'm like, out of anything else they could have called it, like why did they call it a disease? And probably I'm not asking you to answer that question. I'm not asking. I wasn't asking Paige to answer that, but it's just, it's just intriguing.
Probably because of its chronic pathology, right? Like, so it's not something that it's something that develops. So it's not a condition that's inherent. It's something that develops that can be prevented if adequate care is found. So maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not an expert, so.
Well,
everyone just Google Rh disease. You can look up what it is. It's very specifically about the newborn. I'm not a doctor. I'm a childbirth educator, but I'm not a doctor.
Okay, well that's fine. And we understand everybody's position. And if you are a doctor out there in the audience and you want to jump on and hit Tiffany on the Stargate, which is the back channel, and state your background there, and we'll bring you up as somewhat of a specialist, and you just kind of state your case from an educational background. But at the same time, I'm with Faye. That was my point, because again, there's a lot of things out here can happen when two people cross paths and begin to procreate. That's the word I was looking for. And two people try to procreate and create some crazy things, right? But the disease label is what threw me off in the cure, but yet we're talking about something that's passed down. So we'll get to that in just a second. So anyone else? Susan, I see you popping in. Go ahead.
Yes. As someone who is Rh negative.
All right
now. Some Rh negative love here. I really didn't. I mean, aside from birthing my son 33 years ago, and yes, I had a shot. The shot was, from what I was told, it was to prevent him from my stuff from killing him in case he was. Now, it turns out, which is so interesting, because I didn't consider this again until the coronavirus broke out. And about 2 weeks before this hit the news, somehow I intuitively knew that my blood type was going to protect me against this disease. And this was after telling my son, who is a firefighter and who is also Rh negative, that he needed to get vaccinated and I was going to get vaccinated. And then I started Googling about my Rh negativity. And then I saw everything that it was like, yes, this totally resonates with me. All the traits that they describe of an Rh negative person I have, including being intuitively drawn to seek out before this blood type whole thing did hit the news briefly about 2 weeks after I Googled it. And it was shortly into the beginning of last year when I did. And then it sent me down all kinds of rabbit holes, and some weren't pretty, and some I'm still trying to process because some of it just does really just make me ill. But then it started, I went into like pictures of Rh negative blood type women, and we all have the same facial structure. It's reddish auburn hair, it's green eyes, it's the total, everything, every freaking trait is there, the high in intuition, and it's just all there. And the thing is that my son, okay, I'm kind of a hermit, not really, but kind of, but my son who's out there in the front lines, okay, he's been exposed, including his girlfriend who came down with COVID and is living in the same house with him. He's been exposed to it all, and he did not come down with it. So there's no way I'm getting vaccinated at this point. He's the first one who told me not to get vaccinated.
No, I'm sorry to jump in here, but I do just want to steer the conversation away from COVID-19 and vaccination debate, because that can go on.
Got it.
Yeah,
and
got it.
Yes,
got it.
That's the navigator of the show. And hold that thought for a minute, Susan.
Okay.
Hold that thought. And as y'all see, that's my navigator of the show. Yes. Yeah. And not that Susan was doing something wrong, but just at the point.
No. Definitely wasn't chastising or anything.
No, she wasn't.
Just trying to keep the conversation.
Yeah. So with that being said, Susan, you said something that was like really profound. You made a description of the women, right?
Right.
I don't know if, let me PTR. Everybody
Can I chime in?
Yeah, hold on one second. Everybody go ahead and PTR. Okay, I just want to make sure I know where to position it. Right underneath Susan is another young lady who is Rh negative and fit the description that she just said, if y'all want to look at her profile picture.
Yeah.
But Britt.
I don't fit the description, and I'm Rh negative.
I don't think I fit the description.
Just wanted to let you know.
All right, well, then, you know what? Then I'm
also
RH negative.
All right. Woo-wee. Is we hot tonight?
We got a gang of Rh negativity on stage.
I tell you what I'm going to do.
I'm also Rh negative.
I tell you what I'm going to do.
I am interested in people's blood type.
My photo. I'm wearing the green scarf.
Is anyone else?
Okay, hang on a minute. We popping popcorn, but let's turn down the grease. We don't want to use so much grease so we don't pop them all at the same time. But I will say that I'm going to take my detective hat off. I was wrong. She does not look like, you guys don't look like, but we're going to get to the bottom of the evidence. And so let me play something else that we can move from two sides. I mean, I want everybody in on this because this is a great conversation. So let's move it into where it's getting ready to go. Okay. So one of the places was when I was doing some research, they talked about the origin of the Rh negative bloodline. And if you guys ever went into that, it was talking about someplace in the Pyrenees mountain range, right? And I have a little clip of, the Basque. Absolutely. Yes. And let me play a little clip that you guys can hear, and it's from David Childress. He's the author of Technology of the Gods, the book, and he talks about the origin. So we're going to go to the origin now, and it's going to move us into the direction of this extraterrestrial, hypothesis, right? And we'll go there. But in the meantime, so let me just fire it up and let it set the bases, and we'll get back to everybody here in just a moment.
Is he going to say something
about
the
Up to 35% of Basque people have Rh negative blood. And Rh negative blood is one of the most unusual blood types. And it's the one blood type that is least likely to mutate or interact with other blood types.
Okay, so that's the beginning. He talks about how this blood type is. And no, we're not going to move down the other road. We'll lead into it. But the main part is how rare. Okay. So, and one of the things about that is he talks about where it originated from. Now, also I did a little research and we'll play some more and let you guys get back into this conversation. But again, we want to talk about some of those different blood types. And I'll get into that so that we can kind of know where we are. This is about 22 seconds, and then let's engage you guys back into the conversation here.
Human blood types are grouped into 4 distinct designations that include O, A, B, and AB. Additionally, there is another variance between blood types known as the Rh factor, or rhesus factor, which is a measure of rhesus-based antigens in the blood.
The name comes.
Now, again, we're going to get to why they're calling it that, where it's coming from. But before we go any further here, if you can, one at a time, whoever's on stage, let's just unmute your mic and just say, I'm Rh negative, so we know who you are.
I'm Rh
negative.
Okay, I'm going to call it out. We got Susan, we got Britt, Paige, who else?
I am Rh negative.
I am also Rh negative.
I'm negative. Oh my.
Boy, y'all, you know what y'all sound like? The movie Spartacus. I am Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. But anyway, did it get like that right? It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point, I'm just going to ask a question. And please, we're not going to go into a tangent, but just, do you all find yourself getting sick every now and then? We're talking the common stuff, right? And we're not talking about COVID, but because it says that you guys or Rh negative people have a different immune system. Is that true or false?
I rarely get sick.
So how about we start with Susan? She was the first one in the list, and we'll just go down to our Rh negative people, and they can give a quick answer.
Okay, well, I just spent the whole night throwing up. I just spent the whole night in the morning, but I think it was a combination of foods. So from that aspect, my food combining, I have to be very, very careful. But that goes along with other stuff that I'm taking for issues that I have. But aside from that, from throwing up, I rarely get sick.
Okay. All right, Britt.
And we'll move on to Britt. And also, I just wanted to add that if anyone's uncomfortable with any question that's asked, you don't have to answer. You can just say pass. Britt?
Yeah, me too. I barely get sick. I never even had the flu. So, yeah, I'm with that.
And you what, 12, 13, 15? How old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay. All right. You could have passed, but go ahead. All right. Anyone
else? Okay. So who's our next Rh?
I think it's me. I would say on my range of sickness, it's very rare, but I did grow up with asthma, and my skin is very sensitive. I did get cellulitis maybe 2 years ago, and it was really bad.
Yeah, I have asthma too.
I did too.
I have very sensitive skin. I'm continually cutting tags out of clothes.
I break out really easily.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, I tell you what. Anyone else?
But they do say that it's associated with skin problems too. So.
All right. Well, we get ready to get to the extraterrestrial side of that too, and see what y'all think about that too. But Annette, go ahead. I know you was getting ready.
Hey, I never get sick. And it's so funny too, because people around me will actually comment and say, why do you never get sick? What's wrong with you? And I've never thought about this before until you guys mentioned that I'm wondering if that's a reason. So very interesting.
Well, let me set the tone, guys, for what I call for this entire show tonight, episode 8. And this what I'm gonna play now is where we're going with this, so you guys can kind of know where we're going, so it's no surprise.
15% of the humans have Rh negative blood. 15%. And scientists have no idea where it came from. What they do believe is that if you have that, you may have been evolved from a different kind of species on this planet. Now, was that species put here genetically altered? Or was it just a natural formation of the planet in its evolutionary stage? Who knows? But the fact is that Rh negative people, and again, there's 15% of them on this planet, may have come from outside sources.
Now, that's the greatness of George Norrie, radio host from coast to coast. And that's the words from his mouth. So, Gregory, I know you are pretty astute on some of these conversations. What do you think about this topic?
Well, thank you, Roderick, so much, and thank everybody for being here. Let me talk. But no, pretty much what he said. Basically, my research has shown that, definitely the Basque people are the main location. But get down to the genetics. I'm not a geneticist or anything, but evidently there's been a mutation going on, and I do try to correlate all this stuff to the phenomena. And I know that everyone says that a lot of the star visitors and people have said they have come here and altered man and made him into a different type of being. And I always try to see if somehow this correlates to that. This 15% of people that have this gene, evidently the gene has been mutated in RHD. That mutation, to me, speaks of someone tampering with the genetics of this particular group of people. Whether that means that was tampered from someone off the planet or some other natural phenomenon, I don't know. But I've been really researching and narrowing down this trail. And just like he just said, it seems that this group of people or the remnants thereof that had this RHD mutation in their blood, in the antigens, is just almost like it's not from around here. And so, of course, I don't know the whole picture, but that's pretty much where I'm at with it. Thanks for letting me speak.
No problem. And, one of the things when I was doing some research, I ran across Anna Karakis. She's a PhD professor of anthropology, and one of her statements was the origin, and they talk about why they call it the rhesus, and she talked about the rhesus monkeys. So what we'll talk about the origin a little bit, and then I'll bring some of these ladies and whomever else into the conversation. So let's go into what she was saying, where this originated, as we go down the path to get to the end of what George Norrie said, because I got a lot of stuff for you guys tonight. So let's do that. And we just may help some of these people figure out some things and why their life has just been so different. And I don't know if y'all feel like your lives are different, though. Do you? Anyone?
Hell yeah.
Sense of not belonging.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I hit a nerve. Okay, great. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, that is, you know what? That's great to hear. All right. So here we go. We're going to go into what Anna was just talking about here.
The name comes from a monkey from India and other parts of Asia, which is the rhesus macaque. And this monkey was used in experiments looking at blood transfusions. How blood was received from recipients varied. And it was discovered that the rhesus factor could be positive or negative. Most humans in the world are rhesus positive.
All right. So that test was done through monkeys, which is where the RH, the rhesus, is the term of RH. And so they did some tests trying to figure it out. Once again, they figured that most apes are, Homo sapiens, we all originated from that way, right? Scientists. But at this point, this other 15%, which is you guys. And before we go any further, I'm an investigator. I investigate UFOs, and we go much further than that. Tiffany is an investigator. And so those questions that I always have to ask before we even do that, I know some of you are up here on stage. I want to give each one of you about 15 to 30 seconds to tell me in the audience, when did you discover you was RH negative? And if you did any research after that, what was your thought? So let's get your temperament on that first, starting with you, Susan.
Okay, so I first found out about it when I was pregnant. I mean, that was, when they did a blood draw and the doctor told me I was going to have a shot. And I was like, okay, and didn't really research it further until, like I said before, it wasn't until this virus that I somehow got an intuitive message to research my blood type. And that's when I went down the whole rabbit hole connection. Okay. So that's it.
What about you, Britt?
Yeah, it's the same with me. I didn't find out until I was pregnant with my daughter, and I had to get the shot early on because they didn't know what my daughter was. So,
okay, so but you would have been already, or in Susan, you would already been RH negative. So would your parents have known that?
I'm not sure if my parents, I'm not sure. Honestly, we never talked about stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know either. In fact, I just asked my son about his blood type because of this, because it never occurred to me to even ask him. I never cared. And then when he told me he was, it was like, really? Okay, that explains so much.
Okay. All right. Who else? Who's next on that?
It might be me.
Okay,
I don't know.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Actually, my story is a little different. Both my mom and my dad are both Rh negative. So my mom didn't even need the shot, and she had 2 daughters, me and my other sister, and we're both Rh negative. And I found out I was Rh negative when I joined the military. And actually, I had a huge awakening in the military anyway because of the nature of my job. And I kind of, I remember somebody saying to me when they saw my dog tag, they're like, "Oh my God, you're that really rare universal blood type." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And they were like, "Yeah, you could give to anybody." Because O negative is the blood type that can give to every other blood type, but can only receive from itself. And I thought that was really interesting. And then I just kind of, as a researcher, I thought it was super interesting, like someone who likes to research. I, kind of went down that rabbit hole, and yeah, I found out actually what Susan was speaking on about how highly intuitive. And yeah, they do say sometimes that you have red hair and blue eyes, but I clearly do not fit that description. And I've met other Rh negatives who don't fit that description. I think it's a bigger percentage of the 15% has those traits, but it's most certainly not every single one.
All right.
But yeah, that's my part.
Okay. And I know, Bridget, you mentioned you had that, or did you not, the blood type that can be given to everyone, right? Or did we have that conversation?
No, that wasn't me. I was just talking about it. But
we was talking about it, wasn't you? Okay. Well, we did talk about it, if my memory serves me correct, right?
So wait, yes. So I may be confused. So O negative, that means
universal blood donor. Yes.
Yeah, but that means Rh negative.
Yes, anything that's negative. So you can be A negative. That's considered Rh negative. So anything that has a negative is considered Rh negative.
I'm O negative.
You're talking about my mama?
Oh, we ain't gonna talk about nobody's mama.
O negative is Rh negative.
She's a good lady. She's a saint.
Is she Rh negative or what?
She is. She's a universal donor and has been donating blood for a very long time for very good people.
They harass us. I literally get harassed. Like I quite literally had to call Red Cross and tell them to take me off their list.
Those emails. Oh my God. Once they know, they know.
Okay. All right. Let's do this then, Paul.
Same. I'm O negative and had no idea that that's what that meant. So good to know.
Yeah, no, it's fabulous. Anytime there is a blood drive, O negative blood can go into any other person, but only O negative blood can go into an O negative person. So it is a universal donor, a very select VIP group, and, saints all around for doing their thing, donating blood.
Which makes sense about what we were talking about, the disease, right? So if O negative can only receive from itself, that's why it rejects the fetus. That is not, that's why there's the potential that it will reject the fetus if it's not O negative, because it's not compatible. It's actually not even like, it's been said that it's not the same like species.
Okay. All right. So, all right. And we'll first start out, and Paul, we love your mother. And then second, we're not going to talk about anybody's mother here, or the mothers that are here, because you all are mother. Well, we are kind of got y'all into the conversation, but
beautiful people, totally inclusive. But go on.
All right. So, any other Rh negative, Maggie? Go ahead. How did you find out, and then what are your thoughts?
Well, I found out when I was 16 years old. I got sick and ended up in the hospital, needed blood transfusion, and that was the first time I heard that I was different from everybody basically on this earth, and I did not understand what it meant. But the doctor told me that I needed to get a special shot before I left the hospital, and then also when I first got pregnant, and I was told that they had to give me the shot to protect the baby, and I still didn't do any research on it, did not understand what it was. But I also find out that my mom had the same blood type, and 2 of my younger sisters have the same blood type. And my oldest daughter has the same blood type. But I was talking to my younger daughter just 2 days ago. It's so funny. That's why I walked in the room, because I was talking to my younger daughter, asking her, well, what is your blood type? We need to know if we have to take the COVID, if we're protected. And we just happened to have a conversation, and she says, she has that blood type. And I was saying, well, then we have Rh negative. So I'm going to research and find out if we need to take the vaccine, because I'm really not into the COVID thing. So I wanted to make sure that I'm protected. And now when I saw the room that you guys were going to talk about me for the first time in my life, I'm having a conversation about Rh negative, really openly, and learning more about it. So thank you for this space. I appreciate it. Thank you for all of you for sharing.
Well,
my name is Maggie, and I'm done.
Thank you for coming up. And this is what this is all about. Everybody knows that extraterrestrial evidence, and as this is part of what we're doing, as we exploring the evidence of things, and being that the Rh negative bloodline or theory is unknown origin, and when it's unknown, they definitely tag it could possibly be extraterrestrial. So again, we thank you for coming up and sharing that, because we know it takes a lot to talk, but this is what we created. This is why we're here, where people can feel comfortable in not only sharing those stories and everything else. So I'm gonna play another clip here where they're talking about it, and then we'll get down to another person. But once again, Maggie, what I thought about your story is that you were 16 and they told you to get a shot. And it's like, why? You know what I'm saying? Well, I know you needed, some things done, but at this point, you're 16. You're not a newborn. You've been around. So hopefully we can get some answers to that. But let me play another clip here again as we go down the theory here of Rh negative. There, hang on.
85% of humans in the world are Rh positive and have no issues receiving blood from positive or negative donors. But for the Rh negative population, receiving Rh positive blood may be fatal, as the body will try to destroy the foreign antigens. And for women that are Rh negative, mating with an Rh positive partner could be detrimental to the fetus.
Now, here's the deal. How would you know? I mean, how would a woman knows that? It's kind of like the movie Species, right? And you guys are not that. But you remember how she was looking at these men and she was looking up and down. She knew they had issues and just walked off like, nah, that's not a good breed. I'm not doing this. Y'all remember the movie?
Ooh.
Yeah.
To answer to your question really quickly, I was given a card. I don't know if anybody else had that given to them. I was given a card at the hospital that I would have to take it with me everywhere I go. And if ever I got into anything that I needed to receive blood, that I will just show the card so they know exactly what to do with me when I get to the hospital. So that's how we identified ourselves.
I was gonna say I'm Colombian, and your blood test is on your ID. So there's actually countries in Asia where they ask you your blood type for job applications. So I know the United States isn't too big on that, and a lot of people don't know their blood types. But there's other countries that they do test this when you're young.
Just to chime in on that, I am Rh positive. I'm O positive. But I remember when I was a kid, I was told the same, because I think we can give to all the Rh positives, but we can only receive from O positive and O negative. So I remember when I was a kid, I was told to remember that, or I didn't have it written down or anything. Because it's very specific too, right? Like we can only receive from O's.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So we're at the top of the hour. If you're here for the first time, let me do Tiffany, if we can do a quick reset, if you can.
Good evening, everyone. You're in Extraterrestrial Evidence Club. This evening's topic is Rh negative blood type people. We're going to get to the bottom of, or maybe we'll try, to explain what Rh negative blood types are and what is their relation to extraterrestrials. We have Rh negative people on stage that are sharing their experience. And if you also would like to come up and share your experience, just raise your hand and I'll bring you up.
Okay, so great. And once again, if you're here for the first time, give us a follow the club, hit the green button, get those notifications so that you don't miss some of these interesting conversations that we have. And you saw the red dot. So this is being recorded. You're definitely welcome later on to hit our podcast and our YouTube channels for more things like this, because we really go deep. Now, I know we didn't finish, but there's some other women here on the stage that I asked the questions, did you feel different as you grew up or in this space? And I know a few of you gave some great viewpoints there or your answers. Anyone else did not share how you have been feeling, or do you feel like you even belong here? I think that was one of the things.
No.
No, as in you don't, or you don't feel like you belong here?
I've never felt like I've belonged here ever since I was a little kid and was in school. And I always attributed that to my parents. And they very well may have been RH negative also, because they were whack jobs as well. I mean, I consider myself the normal one of the family, but I am trying to end my bloodline. I mean, I've explained all the psychoses that went along with the good stuff to my son, and I've got him freaked out. But yes, I've never felt like I've belonged. I've always been a loner, and I've never related to anyone else. So I think that I am from somewhere else, but I don't know where. I think it might have had to do with why something came through. I did have, at the end of last year, I had a experience, and I don't know if you want to go into that now or not.
Not yet, but are you from Texas? Or do you feel like you're from Texas? There's a lot of things happen here.
No, I'm from Southern California, but we also have things happening here as well.
So are you saying you feel like you're not from this planet?
Correct.
Earth? Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, anyone else feel like you're not belonging here on Earth?
Well, when I was 9 years old, I'm sorry.
My God. Okay, don't everybody go at once. Okay, go ahead. We got a lot of... When
I was 9 years old, I met this lady that was, she used to visit with my aunts, coming to the house often. And she told me that I was not of the common norm. And at that time, at 9 years old, I didn't know what she meant. And when I was in high school, I grew up in DC, and I remember this teacher telling me the same thing. So it stayed with me. And as I got older, I realized that I am different. I'm not like anybody else that I know. But I turned it into something positive and just embrace it.
Wow. That's one of these things. Anyone else? Go ahead before we bring a few more people.
Yeah. I'd like to give a shout out to all the people out there that may be dealing with gifted and talented situations, more or less with their blood type. There are 2 really good organizations out there to find out more information for more education. I'd like to give a shout out to the Institute of Noetic Sciences, who led a really good research paper on the genetic lineage of psychic ability. Really fascinating stuff. May be applicable to you. And if so, definitely check out Arthur Findlay College in the UK, where they have classes for people with that ability to tune into spirits without thinking they're crazy, because there is an entire communication science umbrella under that topic. So if you have a gifted and talented situation, maybe an RH negative situation, there are education paths open to you. You're not alone.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say,
thank you, Paul.
I was going to say, I wanted to add, I've been a super empath my whole life. And I was always told that I was way too sensitive, and that I asked too many questions. And I also was bullied in school, and then teachers were always like, I don't know, like I was always too much, asking too many questions. And yeah, I also had this, like, I think it was like I was 8 years old, and I had this like really weird aha, like click moment where I just knew about my eternal soul. Like I had grown up being Catholic, and I started questioning religion very, very early. It never made sense to me. So yeah, I've always felt very, very, very different.
Now, Bridget, were you trying to speak?
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you, Paul, for bringing in the consciousness aspect. And I know I can feel that there are a lot of people in the room that are resonating with that. And yeah, you might be a starseed right? So if you guys are curious about starseeds, look into it. If that rings a bell with you, that is definitely something that has been associated with all of this. So, and it is not, of course, just with blood types. But yeah, I am Bridget. Thank you.
All right, Bridget, thank you. And here's another question, and we're not done. You guys are going to have plenty of time. And what I want to kind of pose out here, if some of you, which have spoken, feel uncomfortable or here, so to speak, or things could be different, or you feel that, you just have that sense that, you don't belong here. My question for you would be, would you consider yourself being extraterrestrial or something? In other words, before we keep going down this route, which they're saying, or we're trying to get to the bottom of this RA negative, but, for some of the stuff that I've researched, on one hand, we talked about what we heard about in the beginning, but on the other hand, we're going to go down a route, and we're going to continue to go down a route that they have no explanation, and it's possible extraterrestrial. Would you all feel different about that? Or is somebody saying, hell no, I'm not, don't even go down that route? Or are you open to the possibility that you are just that different?
Very open.
Very open. Very, very open.
Yes, I am super open, especially knowing where, it comes from with the book of Enoch, and with the book of Enoch getting taken out of the Bible. And it, it's saying it's only been 5%, and actually having the golden blood, which is the blood they claim in the book of Enoch is the blood of Jesus. And in the book of Enoch, they claim that Jesus had Rh negative blood, and he was actually half alien. The fallen angels, they came down and did some old freaky stuff. And yeah, so I definitely believe that. I state it all the time.
All right. Anyone else?
I read that too, and when I had read it, it has actually said it was the Anunnaki that had made it with, because when they say that it's man of man. So when they mention man of man, they speaking as in the first man that they had created from the I guess the apes and monkeys, whatever. And they kids, daughters of men, when they say that, and they made it with them, that's how they say that the Rh negative came in.
I do have to say that there's a lot of accounts of Rh negative people being abducted by aliens, and not only just having abduction experiences, but also being targeted. This is very real.
Okay, then.
Well,
all right.
Just look into the traits.
All right, Molly, go ahead.
I would be curious as to, I'm Rh negative, but I'd be curious as to the women and the people up here, if anyone is willing to share if they've had contact with extraterrestrials in one form or another. Just curious.
If you have, flash your mic.
That could be channeling, that could be communication, that could be experiences.
I see a lot of flashing.
That's almost everyone.
I thought that was technical difficulty. You mean they flashing? Yeah. Wow.
Right.
I'm just joking, y'all. But no, it's you know what? This is an interesting conversation, and I'm glad we're having it. I'm glad we're making a discovery for some people, and also could possibly bridge the gap between how you've been feeling. And I suggest, and this is just my suggestion, that all of you ladies, hit the Stargate with each other, form, some type of communication. And maybe y'all got some other things you can share among yourselves that at least you're not going to feel that you need to be somewhere else, but you got friends and people here that you can communicate with that may share some of your ideologies. Because I always say, I believe you believe. And at the end of this day, if you believe that you feel that you don't belong or there's some differences here, obviously you're not alone, because there are some other people feeling this. But in togetherness, I think you really navigate through what's happening here, from that standpoint. We're not giving medical things here, but I'm just saying friendships, and that's how that will work.
I have to say, Roderick, I usually sit squarely in the middle and try to sit in that spot the entire time during our show to maintain that non-biased voice. But my mind's pretty blown tonight. I gotta admit that.
Well, that's good. That's good. So we're doing good. So listen, if I can move Tiffany's needle to the left or to the right, then it's rightfully, then I'm going to play this next little clip. And it's just one of my favorite clips. And it's about 10 or 15 seconds, but I think it's just going to put us where we need to be here. Hang on a second. And this is what we're seeking.
I want the truth.
Yeah, I want the truth.
You want answers. I want the truth. I want the truth. Hera. No myths. I want the truth. Enough! God damn it! I want the truth.
I want the truth.
Herb, I want the truth. To say, I want the truth.
And we're going to get to the truth. I've been waiting 3 weeks to play that. And
that was funny.
All right. So what we're going to do is this. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for being up here. If you're in the audience and you want to share, and now that you know that you're not alone with some of the thoughts that you may have been having, and if we have bridged some of the gaps. And again, before we move forward, have any of you ladies been impacted by what we've said up here? And have we, even just made things look comfortable for anybody, or just kind of open your mind to say, wait a minute. All right. Anyone?
My name's Alicia. I'm at the bottom. Well, thank you for inviting me up to the stage. And I'm Rh negative. And how I found out that I was Rh negative was years ago when I donated blood. And some of the women that mentioned, on the stage, I can't remember that, growing up is something that my parents never discussed or even brought up. But I would say probably when I found out that I was Rh negative and I got my card, I didn't think much of it. Fast forward probably like years later, probably like 6 years ago is when I started doing research on my blood type and started reading more and more into it and realizing a lot of things of the traits were some of the things that I have. I'm a type of person, I prefer facts over opinion. I will argue and debate everything until I get the truth. And just that clip that you played about facts, I resonated very much with that. It was also, I believe, Manuela that mentioned that, also growing up, I'm very sensitive and I always asked a lot of questions. And I used to my mother used to always argue with me. You ask too many questions, why this, why that, but I need to have an answer for every question. I can't explain it, but I just need to know. I've always been, very intuitive as well. And for me, I, sensitive with so many things, sensitive to the sun as well. And it's always hard for me, I wouldn't say hard for me to form friendships. I have a lot of friends, but to really maintain a long-term relationship with somebody, at some point I tend to back off and just want to be by myself. Just these are some of the things that, I've researched and also known that our blood type is not to be cloned at all. And, these are just things that I've realized, through the years of researching from the Anunnakis to the Nephilim, all of that, to finding out, understanding myself a lot better. So, yes, I resonate a lot with these women. And also there's a Facebook group on Facebook, obviously, if you look into it, Rh negative, which I'm a member of, and they discuss everything about Rh negative type. So if you guys are interested, you can definitely type it up, look it up, and be a member of the group as well. Thank you.
All right. So, that is interesting. Again, like I said, we are, really putting some things together, and I think it's, and I can take this in another direction. And I'm sure you all have heard that when we get into the Rh negative, so that you don't feel that you're different, there's a lot of things. Let me put another spin on this. Not a spin, I'm sorry. Let me give you another insight. Supposedly, the Rh negative is the royal blood, right? and there's supposed to be a lineage. We talking about our presidents. Y'all flashing their mics. Okay, so that's the point. There's supposed to be the royal blood from Queen Elizabeth to Barack Obama to Trump to all of these different presidents.
Merovingian.
Yeah,
And they all inbreed. They keep having ancestral, just to keep the bloodline going. They do incest.
And also,
I don't know about. Okay.
And also, a lot of them that do have Rh negative blood tend to be in a position of power. They always seem to have, all of them presidents, they all have Rh negative blood types as well.
Well, and that's why they call it the royal blood. So basically, just like the Lion King in the movie, as y'all sitting out here, and now we done said, you guys are king, and Simone could be me or Timon, and said with power now. Remember that when he told Simba, he says, I'm just the same person. Well, no longer y'all may be the same people. Y'all are now with power. So let's look into it that way. But yeah, so I was looking up that, and I was looking at some of that research, and they was talking about the royal bloodline and how those descendants. Now I don't know about the incest, but and we're not a little deep.
Yeah, that is actually
true.
It's not a current thing, but yeah.
Oh, you saying? Oh, y'all all in agreement that this was the thing in the past?
With royalty.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let me look at my. I got a genetic sheet here. Then
I don't know how Meghan Markle slipped in there.
Well,
it's literally Jesus was O negative.
Diana.
So just to expand on that, because it's not entirely genetically based, I just want to propose another theory that's very similar, where people from royal families in the past had a foreign exchange student system going on among the stars, and then they come back reincarnated with both the old wisdom and the wisdom of what should we do about it now? And those are the ideas that are percolating in the unicorn startup technology scene, and that's kind of where my attention's been focused. So who's talented and who's got great ideas, and how do we make humanity better with this knowledge we seem to be importing between generations?
All right. Okay, well, that's those star seeds and star kids, and I know y'all rallying right now, and I got my little sheet with me, and I'm looking at.
I just sent you a little something on the Stargate, that just a quick Google of royal families, and just kind of how early European royalty was a lot of kind of incest to keep.
Mm-hmm.
It was more marriage for gain and property and power than marriage for love. That wasn't like a thing. It was, so.
And to preserve the bloodline as well.
Yep.
So we sound like vampires.
Keep it in the family for real.
Sound like, and they was talking about that. Oh, what's that bloodline from Valence? What's that? I had my notes too, just to let y'all know, because I was studying this stuff. But
check your back channel.
All right, I'm gonna check the back channel. No, the Stargate. The Stargate.
The Stargate.
Yeah.
The Stargate.
All right.
And DJ, shout out to the Brazilian girls and their title track, "The Rule of the Game." It really covers that weird little nuance of new ideas and society you've been born into. So yeah, like updating things, always a challenge. Trying to do things with technology, it's a certain language, but trying to do things at a general civics level, I'm very curious about, and I'm so glad to be in this room. You've opened up a lot of possibilities with your introduction, and I really appreciate you making space for some unconventional thinking that might be just in time for.
Well, we believe here in extraterrestrial evidence that the mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's open. And so those are one of the things that we definitely want to do. So let's go down another path. And as we want to say to all of you RH negative women and men on stage and within the audience, welcome, Earthlings, or welcome. Now, if you go back to these articles of all this incest breeding, then I know some of you said that sometimes, not all of you, but maybe off the rocker, or you might do some things. And then I know some of y'all have relationships, don't like people, or all that good stuff. But, then maybe there's, y'all might be just as close to all the rest of us as everything else. Because some of the issues that you might describe, I know some plus people got those things. So, but anyway, welcome. So let me play another clip here as we move down the path. Okay. And if you're listening to us for the first time, definitely give us a follow the speakers up here, follow the club for sure. Set those notes. Also get on our text list if you can. You can do textroderick.com, and that'll get you into our text community so you can get some of those alerts. We're building that. If you go to roderickmartin.com, that'll give you more information if you're new here about the show, upcoming shows, Twitter feed, everything in one place, who are our past guests and all those things. So you can find a lot of information there, and that's roderickmartin.com, so that you can kind of go into what's happening with extraterrestrial evidence. Oh, Lord, we got a lot of people on the stage that we have not heard from. So we'll go down here a little bit. There's a Dr. Tina, Kenya, Kay. Are you guys, let's start there. RH negative? Where are we going, Dr. Tina?
Yes, I'm RH negative, B negative.
Okay. Kenya?
No, I'm not RH negative. I'm positive. I'm O positive.
Okay. Kay? Okay, you with us? Okay. Amber, how about yourself?
I'm O negative.
Okay. And we got Loyalty. What's your story?
Very interesting topic following along. I currently do not know if I'm positive or negative. I suspect negative, but I don't know for sure.
All right. When you say suspect, are you having some of, I ain't gonna use the word symptoms. Are you having some of the reactions some of these other ladies are having here?
That's funny.
I know.
That's yeah. Keep that away. But I get what you're saying. So what they describe, I experienced myself, but I've never known. The only thing I do know is that I remember being told my blood type when I was little. And I just remember the concept of it being unusual. That's it. But I have no idea what it could possibly be. So I've been reading along while I listen, and I'm learning a lot of things about this RH negative. It's very, very intriguing. So I appreciate you bringing that to this platform.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, and if you want more conversations like this, definitely hit Tiffany or ourselves in the Stargate. For you all that know, Stargate is the back channel, what we call it here, and we always take show ideas. Instagram, you can kind of give us some information, and I see that we have
my Twitter.
Oh, Twitter? Yeah, Twitter. We got Twitter. And YouTube, but no, Twitter and Instagram will be where you can send the messages to Tiffany and ourselves. So you can definitely do that as well. So I got a couple more clips.
Quick question. Can I ask one more question?
Who is that down there? Okay, go ahead.
It's Loyalty. So as far as the back channel, does the icon not look like the Star Trek communicator? What's the name of the Star Trek communicator?
Communicator?
Yeah, so in the TV series Star Trek, there was...
I thought I answered. It's not the communicator? What is it?
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. Maybe it is.
Anybody else got an answer to that trivia?
Can you repeat that question again?
He said the Stargate or the back channel icon, the little arrowhead thing, looks like the emblem in Star Trek. Would definitely look like their shirt icon, but it looks like the emblem or the thing that they use as their communicator when maybe I gotta find out how old some of y'all are. I'm sitting here talking about beaming up.
Yeah, it was on their shirt. Yeah, and so I think they would tap it and they could speak to one another. If I'm, it's very vague, but I think that's what they did.
Insignia or communicator. That's all I remember.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll look that up. And so what we'll do, Loyalty, why don't you do some research on that? Next show, we're going to bring it up because we calling it our Stargate. But, hey, we can always go down a path and honor the greatness of Star Trek. And, because Captain Kirk had it going on. And he did not, He dated green women, yellow women, all kind. I mean, the dude took it to a whole nother level. And so that's what I grew up watching. Like, okay, someday I'm going to date a green woman. Yeah. So.
Excuse me.
Goodness, where are we at in this conversation? I'm so sorry.
We're talking about the RH negative. So none of them are green. So that disqualify that part. So all right. So here's what we're going to do. We got humor, guys. We try to be. I am funny. I am. Come on. Am I funny? I'm not funny. Am I funny?
You're funny.
All right, y'all give it to me. I'm funny.
You're good.
I'm funny.
I have a comment,
yeah,
if I may.
About me being funny?
Okay. Well, you are funny. Okay. But it was actually the reason why I wanted to speak was because it was interesting. Thank you for letting me in to join and everything. My name is Kenya. It was interesting when you asked the speakers how many knew they were RH negative and everything like that. And a lot of the women said that they found out when they were, going to have a baby. And I believe that some of them said that, like Maggie, she was mentioned that when she was 16, she had something going on with the hospital. Do you know that has anybody ever, like, loyalty? Do you know that if you went to go ask your doctor, or if you went to go ask, like, you've had like blood tests before, right? Blood drawn and everything like that. I had a very hard time. I've had 5 kids. I didn't know my blood type until, I think, like, after I had my kids. But when I was curious about my blood type, I asked my doctor, I said, hey, I would like to know my blood type. I know that they've done so many like blood tests and everything, or blood draws. They do not want you to know what your blood type is. Has anybody ever experienced this? They wanted me to pay for it. You have to, like, really jump through hoops to try to find out what your blood type is. And it's
I
like
can speak to that
almost
briefly. I think that would be, it just depends on your medical provider, I would like to say. Because for mine, I knew mine as a kid, but with the medical provider that I have access online. So when I was pregnant, they did a full panel, and I can see the results when they come in. So I have access to all of that. So I can see mine, and I can also see my daughter's. So I think it just may depend on who you have.
And for me, when I went to give blood, I was told that I was O negative, and every time there's a blood drive, I get hounded about it. But until this room this evening, I really didn't know why. I thought everybody that gives blood gets hounded for it. So that's interesting to know.
I got something for you. You must be a special lady and a very exciting girl. That's why. For all of you. That was for all of you. So,
does anyone else with RH get bit up by mosquitoes more?
Okay.
Oh my God, yes. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And it's annoying as hell.
You're sweet. Sweet as candy.
You're hot. Mosquitoes are attracted to heat. You're hot ladies.
Kenya, you can get a blood test on Amazon. It's $6. And if you take it, you prick your finger. You don't have to send it into anybody. But it will tell you what blood type you are, and actually if you are RH positive or RH negative.
Wow.
So,
Thank you, Kath. I'm going to check
You're
that
very
out
welcome.
because I want to know what my kids' blood types are, because I have a very spirited young lady. Her name is Isla, and she was told by her in kindergarten, and her first grade teacher, she did a moving up, like they looped up with her, and she sent me a note home. She's like, Isla's very spirited and everything, and I believe that she's an empath like me, and very sensitive. I forgot who touched up on that, but, like, that was very interesting also, like, to know. So I would like to know if she's negative or positive. So I know I had to have the shot too, but because they didn't know, but it's just very interesting. So I really appreciate this conversation. This is awesome.
All right.
My opinion is if you're not having success with being able to speak to your provider about your own medical situation or conditions, that if possible, you maybe seek out another provider, because you have a right to know for your own protective information.
And just to piggyback off of that, it might come down to insurance. It might come down to insurance because, the type of coverage that we have. Sometimes they don't think that a certain population is privy to that information or so, and they only do what's like, I don't know, necessary or whatever. And any other questions that you ask is like extra. So I would look into that too.
Maybe it's a cover up because you guys have that royal bloodline or something. But let's go to the extraterrestrial factor of this. And like I said, I think you ladies should communicate with one another and let this be the moment that we brought you all together as one and begin to share some of these stories. Because I think, with extraterrestrial evidence, we've done a lot. We've brought a lot of people to a point where they can have conversations that they couldn't normally have, because that's what we do here. And I want to continue that, but also, 5 years from now, we may see pictures of, the new family and how everybody's come together in peace and love and have met, and all because we came together on this day to share a subject matter, almost like, you all were just called here, right? And so that's great. So let's get back down to, again, this is a statement that Nick Redfern, I don't know if you guys remember him, he's an author, and he wrote a book called The Bloodline of the Gods. And he talks about, once again, what we all talked about, if we're doing procreating, what could happen in some of these situations. But I want to play a clip so you guys can kind of hear his thoughts on that as well.
The very fact that an Rh negative mother, her body would actually try to kill an Rh positive baby generates bizarre scenarios. How on earth could this happen? It suggests somewhere in our lineage that the Rh negatives and the Rh positives are perceived as being profoundly different. And also, studies of Rh negatives suggest that they have lower than normal blood pressure, lower than normal pulse. In a number of cases, they have an extra vertebra in their back.
Now, he's going down a road that there's a lot of difference. But what he said in the beginning, where, we're thinking about human beings, we're thinking about life itself, and he was like, the fact of it, you heard it, where the body would reject the fetus. But then, like I said, once again, I kind of relate things back to the movie Species, and there was another movie I saw called Spice. It was a whole lot of them that came down to the point of where there was a difference in when it came down to procreating and everything else. And so with his statement of that, I'm not going to ask, but if you want to answer, anybody got an extra spine?
I've actually got that comment directed towards me before about something being wrong with me because my body rejects my own children. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
That's basically all. I mean, I don't know how to approach it with people, but, a lot of them will say that I have, some bad genetic trait, something like that.
Okay. All right. So I've been corrected in the Stargate. It's zoomed right on up here. I should have said vertebrae, right? Bridget, go ahead. Am I saying that wrong? Extra vertebrae. So what's the difference? One spine. What's a vertebrae? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
They make up the spine. They're the bones that make up the spine.
So you still have one
vertebra
spine.
is more than one. Vertebra is more than one.
Oh, but more than one spine, or more than one that makes up the spine?
They're
different. It would be one extra vertebrae.
Think about it like in your finger, how there's different bones in your finger that are connected by knuckles. That's the same thing with the spine, but they're smaller and little blocks, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's vertebrae are stacked up on each other from the bottom, from your tailbone up to the base of your skull. That the collective stacking of them make up your spine. So if you feel the back of your neck, if you can go down the center of your back, you can actually feel little, what I would call spikes. Those are the appendages of the vertebrae.
All right. So for those of you who are in the room new, once again, we're working down a path here. I got a few more clips. I got more questions for our audience. And if you are in the conversation down there and you want to come in and share your story, but here's where we're trying to get to the bottom. This is the direction. Let me play this again. And we got 24 minutes left in the top of the hour for the show. And so we're going to reach that for you guys. Or maybe we got to have a part 2 someday. Who knows? But I think this is a great conversation. You all agree?
I agree.
Yes.
All right.
Can I, for sure.
All right.
Keep on driving, Roderick.
All right.
You're doing great.
All right.
Can
So,
I-
yeah, go ahead. Who's that? Can I?
Alicia, I just want to say that piece that you just played about the doctor saying that having low blood pressure, I do have to say I definitely do. Whenever I would get my blood checked, the nurses will always say, you have very low blood pressure. So that's definitely one of the traits that I have to agree with as well.
All right now. So
I do as well.
Me too.
somebody else got boy. All right then. We own something here.
Yep, me as
And
well.
let
Me as well.
All right then. I'm gonna call you guys your highnesses. All of you, your highness, because you're the royal bloodline, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's do this again. For if you knew. We're working down a timeline here, but we also looking for that evidence. This is extraterrestrial evidence. And you'll hit the green house up there so you can get part of our story, get part of the club and become a member. I'll definitely, Tiffany and I will add you to the membership, because pretty soon there's going to be members only rooms that we're going to be having, because membership has its privileges, just plain and simple. So we want to honor that. For those of you who've already reached out and became members of the club, give us a follow. And if you got your mic open, go ahead and close it for us. Okay, appreciate it. But again, let me play the clip to where we're going, and it's just a reminder.
15% of the humans have Rh negative blood. 15%. And scientists have no idea where it came from. What they do believe is that if you have that, you may have been evolved from a different kind of species on this planet. Now, was that species put here, genetically altered, or was it just a natural formation of the planet in its evolutionary stage? Who knows? But the fact is that Rh negative people, and again, there's 15% of them on this planet, may have come from outside sources.
Whoa. Okay. So hopefully we're getting you guys closer to where we're going. Now, one of the things about this is Will Hart. Okay. He's the author of a book called The Genius Race. We just talked about that, right, Paul? And he's the author of The Genius Race. And he talks about the Rh negative and where it may come from. And so let me see if this can help any of you, and I'll play what he has to say about that, and we'll respond on it.
Rh negative is very rare. Most of the world didn't have it until colonization started in the 15th century. Rh negative didn't exist in the Americas, it didn't exist in Southern Africa, it didn't exist in Asia. It was only in Europe, so it spread out from there. Out of Africa, that theory has it that all human beings originated in Africa, Southern Africa, Sub-Sahara. They're all Rh positive. They don't have any Rh negative. Where did Rh negative evolve then?
So that's the question. Where you guys come from? Who knows? Can anybody tell me where you come from?
The fallen angels mixed with humans created a hybrid, which is us.
All right.
I feel like that as well. But I actually have, and my name is Kath. I'm the typical redhead, blue-eyed, light skin that falls under the Rh negative. And I have felt different my whole life, got treated like a redheaded stepchild, including in my own family. I always got bullied, just like Manuela. Felt like I didn't fit in, and when I was born, I still have a photographic memory. I'm good, I was creative, I was smart, I was all in the talented and gifted classes, and I'm kind of different. I've been paralyzed for a long time. I've been paralyzed 37 years, and I'm a quadriplegic, and sometimes I have survived stuff that goes on with me, and I can't believe it. And now that I'm learning so much lately about being a starseed, and I've had 2 near-death experiences. I really resonate with how different I feel, and I think it might stem from my Rh negative blood. I have had 2 spiritual healers, people that are in touch with the Akashic records and that kind of stuff, tell me that they thought I was Lyran. And so the Lyrans come from the Pleiades, I believe. And I want to just mention one thing to everybody in here that says they're Rh negative, and I followed everybody that did. My cheeks are really full, and I see that on Alicia and Molly and even Brunella. We haven't heard from Brunella yet, and Dr. Tina and Kenya Manuela. You know, I feel like my cheeks are a certain way, and I guess we have different shaped noses, but I feel like whenever I meet somebody else that's Rh negative, they have this, at least when you're looking at everybody's pictures, they have that as well. So I'm just throwing that out there because it's just, I'm a Virgo and I notice everything anyways. So, and I'm one of those researcher people. I talk too much. They called me Chatty Cathy. I like to say I got vaccinated with a phonograph needle, but, yeah, I just was wondering if anybody else felt like that too. But I feel like intuitively, I feel like I'm a Lyran starseed, like the lion, like the golden lion. And I did look up, I've done some research on the Lyrans, and it said that we're the first galactic race here on the planet. I know that this Rh negative blood stems from the 12 tribes of Israel. I just wanted to let everybody know, if you go on YouTube, there's a guy named Chioke Jelani, Chiokejelani, and he does this freaking incredible animated series with these lions, and it talks about the Rh negatives and how special their blood is, and how people want to do tests on our blood. And I've taken a couple of DNA tests, and now they're wanting to ask people if they're Rh negative or not. And I saw somewhere, and with all this crap that's going on the planet, that the military is producing some kind of a special race of Rh negative, like super people. Do you know what I mean? Because we've got the super blood.
Okay, well,
RH negative can't be cloned.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've heard that too.
Yes, I've seen that too.
Yeah, I read that Rh negative people can't be cloned, but mass produced, who knows? But here's a thing I want to do. I want to see if not a challenge, but let's just try to do something special. I want all of you ladies, like I said again, to connect. I want to maybe a few weeks from now bring all of you back, and then I want to know how you guys began to feel about being around each other. Did it change a spirit? Just in other words, are y'all sharing some of your stories, just some similarities, or do you just feel connected, period, by some anomaly? I don't know. But I would love to have that as a theory for us here on Extraterrestrial Evidence. And since we, brought this together, I would like to take it another step. Are you guys interested in that?
Well, I will say that if we all sync up, I'm going to be pretty pissed because I'm on a great schedule right now.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So, and what I'm saying is that I will, and here's what I'm going to do. I want all of y'all to hook up, and I'm going to pay for virtual lunch, and I'm going to use virtual money. And, and you guys are going to just enjoy just hanging out, eating air together. But, that's my joke. But then again, it's virtual lunch. But I just want to say I'm offering lunch for y'all to hook up, maybe Zoom and see each other's faces and, and just really see if there is some type of connection. And can anybody commit to that?
Yeah. I mean, I can. Why not? Sure, why not?
Sure.
Okay, so if y'all, yeah, and we're gonna, and then Tiffany, if you can have all of y'all back channel Tiffany or Stargate and send her a message through the Stargate, she can kind of organize that, and then that'll fit some schedules that she has, so she doesn't miss out as well. But then we will schedule a show coming back, and it'll be catered to you guys and ladies, your highnesses, and that way we can kind of see, because I'll be interested to know. I hope I'm not the only one. I think some other people in the audience, with you guys coming together and talking with, not just, you're going to complete each other's sentences and all that kind of stuff, but you know what I mean? Would that be some type of energy? That's the word. With all of you.
Synergy. Yeah, the
synergy. Yeah. Okay.
It's synergy. I would say, at least I can probably say for all of us in here, we definitely all relate to everything that we've all just said. So we all have a lot of things that are in common, which is, I wouldn't say strange, but kind of strange, versus probably a group of other people would probably in the same room wouldn't feel the same way as we all do right now. Am I in agreement with you, ladies? Can you all agree to that?
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
and
definitely.
I see like the pictures of the people here, and I'm very attracted. Not, I can just tell something's there. Very similar features.
All right, then. And so, all right. So we have a date where a moment where y'all can come together as one. Tiffany, are you getting any responses on the Stargate? Because I want them to do it in real time, so that it's important. And are you?
I don't see any contact info right now.
I have. It's probably on the request side because I just followed it. I'm not sure.
Well,
okay,
great.
I'll figure that out.
Appreciate you, lady, doing that. We got one. We got Alicia. We got Molly. Anybody else? Anybody else?
How can I find it?
All right. The Stargate?
Yes, thanks.
It will be over
so when you go in the back channel, right? Yeah. So when you click that arrow and you go into the back channel and you're going to slide over where it says request, that's where you'll see everyone's request information.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
I see that now, but I am not sure how to add people into a group.
Well, basically, you guys
Roderick.
can communicate it. Yeah, and there are some people hitting me that someone else, two people want to be part of the virtual lunch. Yeah, that's great. And so hit Tiffany. I did get your message. Hit Tiffany on the back of Stargate and let her know you want to be part of the virtual lunch that you guys going to put together and meet one another. And I really want y'all to do that because I really want you to be Zooming so y'all can see each other's faces and really we can uncover.
Definitely.
Something.
I must say I am a little nervous because I've done some research and the government is definitely watching us. They have this group called the Watchers. So I don't know. I'm excited, but I'm a little nervous too because it's really real.
May I set an intention? I think it would be amazing if you ladies could come up with an amazing text slogan to have as the next Clubhouse profile photo PTR. And if you had one thing that really unified you and a saying that really came out like lightning in a bottle, definitely do share that with the rest of us. I'm curious to know what you think.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm curious to know how many of you identify or feel that you might be a starseed. And this is Bridget at the top. So if anyone wants to back chat me that information, yes, I do, or whatever, if you identify as a specific race, I would love to hear that from you as well.
I know I'm a starseed for sure. Bridget, I'm going to connect with you. Definitely.
Me as well, Bridget.
Yes.
Okay, so I started the big group chat. If anyone hasn't gotten added to it, just send me a separate message and I'll add you in.
Now, like I said, guys, what we're ladies, I don't know why I say guys. Guys is just a common, I don't know if it's a pronoun or whatever, but at the same time. But what I want to do also is, again, Tiffany definitely has her school schedule. She's working on a few things. So like I mentioned just a few seconds ago, whenever she has the time that she can put this together, because I don't want her to miss out, and I'm not for sure the timeline. But Tiffany, I know you'll be busy for quite some time though, right? Yes? No? Hello?
Sorry, I was working the group chat that I just created, but that's created now, so everyone who's added to it will be able to speak to one another, and I'm still getting more messages, so as I get these messages, I will add you in.
Okay. And excuse me, Roderick, was it only just for the RH? This group right here is just for only the RH negative?
Yes, it's a special grouping of the RH negative folks, I believe. Correct, Roderick?
Well, it could be. I just thought y'all all had a connection, but like I said, yeah, you know, it's not. We're not. We're not excluding. We're not excluding.
No.
You could, you know, just be a part of it if you like, because it's all about connectivity. I want all of us to connect anyway, so it's not a exclusion, inclusion. I just thought that would be a starting point from there. And so once again, I'll, you know, there's no certain date or however, but I just wanted to put something in place again, and so. Definitely, I want to make sure that I work around Tiffany's schedule, because she definitely has a schedule outside of this, and she's working hard on a few things. And so I really don't even know how much of all of that is in play, and I do apologize for throwing her into the mix without conducting our mission plan. So Tiffany, real quickly though, I know you're in school, you got a couple of things you're working on. We're looking at how much timeline? A few months, or what are we doing?
How long am I going to be in school for?
Well, I know you working on some things now, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be a couple years. I have them scheduled out back to back. I'm going to graduate school.
Maybe I asked the wrong question. I asked the wrong question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but the chat is pretty self-sustaining. So it's created already. So if anyone wants to be added, they can just hit me up and I can put it in there. Everybody is an adult, so I'm sure everyone can communicate with one another in the chat that I've created there. And I also added you in, Roderick, I think, as a co-admin, so that,
Okay, that'll be work too. And Faye or Bridget, can you, I know y'all on the outside of this, but Tiffany, you add them to, I'm sure they'll be helpful as a co-admin as well.
Yep, already done.
Thank you. Can I offer unsolicited suggestion? I think that maybe this one, besides Bridget and myself helping to admin, I think this one should be just for the RH negative crew. Just so they can connect and see the similarities. I think if there are some other people that want to join later on, maybe we can do like a separate Starseed one or something like that. But I think this is kind of special that you all are, negative, have negative blood. So maybe we should just keep this one. What do you guys think?
Agree. All I can say is this is the most that my back channel has been popping with messages since I joined Clubhouse.
Lady, I did want to bring something up about what you mentioned about the watchers and stuff like that. I follow on Instagram, this, it's called RH Negative Club. There's also the guy Chioki Jelani, that I mentioned earlier. But there are stuff, I think it was in another country like Germany, which doesn't shock me at all, that, they were really looking out for people who are RH negative. So whatever you're feeling, I don't know where you got your type of information, but you're not the only one that feels like that. And some people that are RH negative, other people that are RH negative say that we should even be hesitant to even put that, put our stuff all out there. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, I know we're on a group and we're being recorded. Maybe we should change our names or whatever. But just, even you, Roderick, just, I do feel some type of way about it, lady. And thank you for bringing that up, because you're not the only one that feels that way. So there's some hesitation when we get in a room that says RH negative for some of us.
All right. Well, I didn't want to open up that can, but I appreciate you sharing that, because I know it's it's a serious thing to acknowledge for everyone, because
I'm sorry.
You're sorry? Who's sorry?
Well, yeah, because you said you didn't want to open up that can, and I'm sorry when I didn't want to.
No. I don't know. You're okay. I'm just saying, it all began. Everything rises and falls on leadership. I set the room. I set the topic. And we're here, so I always take responsibility of that. And this is how we got here. So I take that responsibility if anyone feels uncomfortable or any other scenario. So we're okay with that. So no, don't you feel any kind of way. participating in bringing your point of view here, because, you know, that's what we need. But at the end of the day, if anyone feels that's, you know, we want to acknowledge that. But I will say, as we stand together and be together, we're stronger together, and all of you as well. So whether they're watching or not, I dare them to mess with my highnesses out there. So we're going to play. But at the end of the day, I love you all, and we're here. So we're going to be here another couple of minutes. And one of the things I want to share with you while we're here, we had a room open to celebrate that we hit 20,000 members. This was the other day, and I just wanted to thank everybody for that. But we also had a lady, she's part of the Creators First program, named Butterscotch. And Butterscotch last week came in and she just started playing background music to everybody who was telling their stories. And when I tell you, it was so beautiful. Now, at the time, we was having a conversation about E.T. Phone Home and all this. And so she just got on stage and she just started playing a song that she wrote right there while she's listening to the room. And it was beautiful. Before we close up in a little bit, I just want to play some of it. And, you know, it's a couple of minutes, but I just want to let you kind of hear her talent. Are you guys okay with that?
Always. She's amazing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to play. She did this ad lib. We were just sitting there talking, and she says, I got a song, and I was sitting there. I was talking about E.T. Phone Home, and that was part of the conversation. So she just integrated into a quick song, okay? So let me play it for you guys right quick here.
I'm not really warmed up right now, but I guess I could share a little bit. Extraterrestrial evidence, yeah. E.T. phone home, yeah. We got it going on, yeah. To the sky, yeah, and beyond, yeah. I hear everybody in the galaxy sing the song, yeah. In harmony is a place to be. We come in peace, always wanting to be free. What does the government want to keep us trapped? Yeah, I can't hold back anymore, any longer. Yeah, I just keep getting. Yeah, I look to the sky and I see the stars, and I know they are me. I am them. We are we. Yeah. E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home. Come on. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hey. Shoulda did that day. Shoulda did day. Ooh, yeah. We are not alone. You are not alone. We are not alone. You are not alone.
Whoa, that was Great job.
That was
Okay, so yeah,
That was very much Erica Badu vibes for me.
and she did that on the fly. Okay, she was just sitting in a room. She heard us. She was inspired by the conversation, and she said, "I wrote a song," and she wrote it, and it was all about we're not alone. And I thought that was fitting for you all to know that you're not alone as well. And you found a place here on what we're doing. And so with that being said, do anyone have any final thoughts before I get us out of here? Because anyway, you don't have to go to bed because you are adults. But one thing's for certain, you can't stay here because we will be shutting down the show. Now, we're going to have another one Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you come back. Please give us a follow if you're in the room so that we know that we're doing a good job, doing that. Follow the speakers. Also, hit the notification for the club, all of those different things. And so I'm going to give all of you, since you were a part of the show, and if you didn't get a chance to talk, I apologize because we do kind of keep on a time schedule, but I'm going to start at the bottom down there, and I see we have Dr. Samuel. If I said that right, oh my God, Dr. Sims.
Samuel, that's fine.
Samuel. Okay, so go ahead and share something real quick before we get out of here. Go ahead.
Oh, just love this topic. It's something that I've kind of came across myself. I am A negative, and so it's just really interesting to hear from other people and their experiences. So thank you for the room.
All right. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Is there like a web? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Is there like a website or anything? Like, this is the second time I caught this show. I always catch it late because I get out of work late.
Yeah, go to roderickmartin.com. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what is it again?
roderickmartin.com. That's my name, roderickmartin.com. And when you go there, you'll pull up a website that has all those shows as the times and when we're coming up. Our Twitter feed is there. The YouTube channel is there. It's really is our whole sheet, one sheet for everything that we do. Our past guests that we've had, some of the topics. You'll find everything you need there to keep up with what's going on.
Well, I'm excited. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate you
And
being
Lou,
here.
just so you, I'm sorry, Roderick. And just so you know, Lou, he does put these on his YouTube channel.
Yes, I do. Or the podcast. I do put them on a podcast. We used to stream live for the YouTube channel. Then I kept getting these messages that I have a face for radio and not TV. And I felt bad.
What?
I know, right? I felt bad. And I was like, man, I ain't RH.
That's so rude.
I ain't RH negative. I ain't got those good looks and all that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to go get mine changed. I'm finna go. No, I'm just kidding. I just stopped doing it because it was a lot of work at the same time. So we'll definitely do that. So with that being said, I want to thank Tiffany as always, Bridget, we got Faye, we got Susan, Justin, Paul, Britt, and I'm say that again, Kay, Katrina, Molly, Annette, Kat, Alicia, Lady, Kenya, Amber, Loyalty, Brunella, Lou. Lou, did you say anything tonight at all?
I didn't get a chance to.
Well, go ahead.
Maybe
You got a chance right now. Go ahead.
No, I just missed the last show. I wanted to speak, but it was just so interesting. I didn't want to speak about anyone else. But I missed half the show, and I just wanted to get more information on the blood types because I heard something about O negative, and I missed that part as well. And I was just curious to hear what that person was saying about the O negative blood.
All right, y'all want to help him out for 10 seconds before we get out of here? Or what?
I'm O negative. I just didn't know that also meant RH negative. So,
are you serious? Because I'm O negative, CMV negative, and it's crazy because I never heard of that my whole life. Because I heard what you were saying. Because I get hounded a lot to give blood, and coming out, I live in Nevada now, and coming out here, I met 3 other people that have the same blood type. Never met anyone that's ever heard of CMV negative or has CMV negative until I came out here. So that's why I was like, oh, what did she say? So I was curious about that. So it's RH negative as well?
Apparently, I got educated this evening.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Never heard of CMV negative.
See, most people haven't. Everyone's like, oh, you're making that up.
Told y'all, y'all some special people, I tell you what. So, with that being said, you all are special.
Sing again.
Yes,
sing.
yeah. No.
Nice to meet you, sisters.
I wish I could sing for y'all.
In here.
But anyway, great room, great people, great show. And I'm going to miss you guys to be coming back another week from now. But throughout the week, we're going to open up a few rooms to just talk about a few things because we want to get this app set to recognize what we're doing here and everything else. But to help do that, start spreading the word. Start, pinging people, sharing on social media. I'll start putting up a couple things. If you get on our text list, I'll start sending out some images and things that we can share on social media. This is our social media. This is our community. And I want it to become that community that people are feeling more comfortable. There's a lot of people out there that are wanderers right now. They need to find their word home, and this is home is where they're going to come. We got to bring them here. We got to let them know we exist. that this show exists, the club exists, there's a place they can talk, they can share, and they don't feel out there, no kind of way. Because we talk about consciousness, we talk about the experiences, and then, of course, we chase those UFOs and everything else. And this is how we're going to come together. But I think we should be bigger. We should be larger. We should be bolder, baffling, belligerent, creating those controversial conversations and being the best club on Clubhouse and known everywhere, because they won't find nothing around like what we do here. And that's because that's what we set out the motion to do. And we're going to continue to serve you. I will serve you personally as well. And if I can do that any kind of way, let me know. So with that being said, good night. It's been a plum, pleasing pleasure, as well as a privilege serving you tonight. And I'll see you back next week on the next show. All of you, your highnesses, are beautiful. And we'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Appreciate you.